I want to show you how easy it is to make one of the best barbecue items there are using the Z Grills pellet smoker, or any pellet smoker for that matter. I'm talking about pork belly burnt ends. These are some of the best things you can smoke on a smoker. They are the perfect appetizer. They are sweet and savory, and it's amazing how simple it actually is to make. So for this recipe, I'm gonna put a little bit of a twist on the conventional barbecued pork belly. But let me show you how simple it really is to get these made. So it all starts with a pork belly. And I have a skinless pork belly here. That's what you're gonna want. If your pork belly has the skin on, go ahead and remove that. We're not gonna need that for this recipe. Try and find one that has a good amount of meat on it compared to the amount of fat. I know it's a pork belly, but some of them are gonna be a lot more fatty than others. As you can see here on this end, this is pretty fatty here, but for the most part, this is a pretty good looking pork belly, plenty of meat on there. So the first thing we have to do is cut this up into cubes, and I like to do that by cutting strips. When you're doing pork belly burnt ends, or any burnt ends for that matter, you want to cut them a little bit bigger than you think you might want, because these tend to shrink up quite a bit. So as you can see, I've cut these about 2 inches wide here. So a 2x2 square I think will be pretty good. But again, like I said here, a lot of fat. Now that we got the strips, just want to cut these into the cubes. So this piece right here, you can see, does not have much meat on it. I'm gonna go ahead and save this for something else, but then this one is fine here. This one has plenty of meat on it. So I think I'm just gonna hold off on those two. But the rest of this should be perfect for some burnt ends. All right, so there's all the pork belly cubed up. You can see that's a nice one right there. Plenty of meat on it. That's gonna be a delicious pork belly burnt end. So now we just gotta get these seasoned, and I'm gonna be using this Saltgrass 7 steak spice. I've been using this quite a bit, and I really enjoy it. It's definitely not just a steak seasoning. I've used this on pork, shrimp. It's great on everything, and my favorite thing about it is the color you get when you use this stuff. Also, it's very black pepper heavy, which I like in my barbecue seasoning. If you're interested in this, I will put a link down below for you. Definitely give this a try. It is delicious on steak, but like I said, it's great on everything. And you'll see this beautiful color this meat gets from this. So seasoning up these cubes is kind of a pain. Doesn't have to be perfect. These are gonna go through a long process of cooking here. But we're also gonna add a sauce to this later as well. So we're gonna just build some layers of flavor here. Just like to go through and try and get all these sides covered up with the seasoning on the board. All right, so like I said, the seasoning is probably the hardest part of this, just because they're in little cubes and you really want to get them completely covered. But here we are, and you can see, like I said, that great color the seasoning is giving this pork. And I'm going to be cooking these on my Z Grills pellet smoker. It's a 700 D3 model. I've been using this smoker a lot lately to give it a test, and this thing has been amazing with everything I've cooked on it. I actually recently did an overnight pork, which came out fantastic. So I was running this thing for a long time. I had no problems at all with it throughout the whole cook. If you guys are interested in seeing a cook like that, let me know down in the comments below. But I want to get these on a tray, which is going to make it a lot easier to get them in and out of the smoker quickly. You don't have to have the lid open that long and lose all your heat in there. So I'm going to move these to the side, get our tray. Now on any pellet smoker, you're going to have the heat coming from the bottom. So since that's the case, I don't want this meat to get overcooked at all. So I'm going to put these fat side down on the tray so that fat is facing the heat. You want to give these a little bit of space, but you got to remember they are going to shrink up a lot. So if they get close, that's not a problem. But these are all set. I got the smoker at 250 degrees. Let's go ahead, get these out and get them on the smoker. Out at the Z Grills pellet smoker, you can see I got it at 250. So I'm just going to take these beautiful pork belly burnt ends, get them right in the middle of the grate, close it up, let these things cook. So pretty easy so far, right? Not much trimming, unless of course you got a skin on pork belly, then yeah, it's kind of a pain to cut that off. But for those who got skinless pork belly, pretty simple. All you gotta do is just cut it up. Now we're gonna leave it on the smoker at 250 degrees for a couple hours probably. What I'm looking for is some of that fat to start rendering out, and I wanna get a nice bark on these things, which is the most important before we pull them off. Because once we get a nice bark, we'll be able to pull them off. We're going to get them in a tray wrapped up and let them cook and get super tender. So nothing really to it besides just letting your smoker do its thing, and then nice nice thing about a pellet smoker is you don't have to worry about it at all. Just set it and it's going to maintain that temperature. But let's go ahead, jump ahead a couple hours, and we're going to check on these pork belly burn ends. All right, we are 2 hours in. Let's check out these pork belly burnt ends. See, the fat is rendering down nicely, building a nice bark here. Let's get a temperature check. It's about 186. Let's see how the fat side is looking. Not too bad. Now the temperature is pretty good, but I want to get a little bit of a bark on here. So I'm just going to turn this temp up to 275 and let these go for another 45 minutes or so. It's been another hour and these have been at 275. Check these out. This is what I was looking for. You want to get a nice bark on these pork belly burnt ends, and these are perfect. So let's go ahead and get them off and get them into a tray. So I'm just going to move these to the front here. Now I got these rubber gloves with some liners, which is highly preferable when doing this because I can touch all this hot stuff. I got this foil pan. Just going to get these in the pan, and now what I want to do is put them fat side up and check these out. Looks absolutely gorgeous. The fat is nice and soft. So now we just got to get these rendered down a little bit more. But to this pork belly, we're going to add a little bit of brown sugar. Then we're going in with some butter. Here I have this Mike's Hot Honey. I highly suggest using this stuff for all the barbecue things you use honey for. It's not that spicy, but it adds some nice extra flavor. Now you want to go in with a good amount of honey there. Now we're just going to get this covered up with some foil. I'm just going to let this go for probably another hour or so. So I'll see you when I come out here and give them a check. All right, 1 hour covered in that tray. Let's check out these pork belly burn ends. Oh yeah. These are looking really nice. Now if I go ahead with my thermometer, these are like butter, and you can see that fat. It's rendered down beautifully, so these are ready. Now the next step is to add a sauce, and usually it's a barbecue sauce. But for these, I'm using this Korean chicken wing sauce and glaze. You can use any sort of Asian style sauce for this. It goes super well with the pork. I highly suggest giving it a try. Now all I want to do is just get these all mixed up with the sauce, and then I want to move them fat side down now. So there we go, fully coated in that sauce, fat side down. Now we're just going to let these cook for about a half an hour uncovered. Then I'll bring them inside and we will give them a try. All right, this pork belly is finished. After another half an hour uncovered in that pan, I pulled these off and then I let them rest for about a half an hour, 45 minutes. They smell amazing and I'm ready to give them a try. But this was such an easy cook, and using that Z-Grills pellet smoker made it super easy. It was 2 hours on the rack smoking, then in the tray for another hour with the honey, butter, brown sugar, then just another half an hour uncovered in that Korean sauce and glaze. Next time you're having people over and you got the smoker on, be sure to put these on. People will love them, and using that Asian style sauce is great with the pork belly. It really helps cut through that fat on there. Now I know most people use a barbecue sauce. I don't like to do that because the pork belly is already heavy enough that it doesn't really need a barbecue sauce. But these Asian flavors go so well with this super fatty pork belly. I highly suggest giving that a try. Now before I try these, I just want to let you know that I'm going to put a link to that pellet smoker down below if you are interested in the Z-Grills. And I'll also put a link to everything I like to use in my videos down there as well, so be sure to check it out. Now I got these pork belly burn ends all plated up, and I went ahead and seasoned them further with some of this rice seasoning. This stuff is fantastic on all Asian dishes, and the sesame seeds and seaweed really give this a great look. Now there is some salt in there, so be careful with putting too much on. It'll give it that extra flair that'll really impress your guests. Just check that out. That is a beautiful piece of pork belly, and anybody would be impressed with that. Now it is super tender. You can see it just wants to fall apart right there at that fat seam. But I'm gonna go ahead, give this a try, and see how it tastes. That is absolutely delicious. And this is some of the best barbecue you can make. It is super simple. I highly suggest anyone who can get some pork belly giving this a try. Just check that out. You can see how juicy and moist that meat is. Best way to describe a pork belly burn end is it is the best bite of a rib you could have. Super thick, perfect mixture of fat and meat, and you get a nice big bite. And with that Korean sauce, it is absolutely delicious. And I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe right over here. And if you want to see another one of my barbecue videos, you can check this one out right over here. But most importantly, get out there and smoke something good.